So is there a way we can get connected to them?
Sure, I will connect.
Can you please do that? Yeah. Because I'm going there next week. By this time, I'm there.
Okay. So we are actually live now. We'll wait for a few minutes so that since we just now went live, I will wait for people to join. We'll wait for 5 minutes. So good morning, everybody. So TiE Amaravati has recently announced a program called Live Gurupreneur, where we shall have mentors going live on Facebook and YouTube and other social media platforms wherever possible. And we shall help connecting the startups with the mentors and provide mentoring through these live sessions. So for today, we have Mr. Shivkumar, who is CEO of Maple Software, and he is a member of National Council of CII and ex-chairman of CII AP. He's interested in the areas of IT, healthcare, and agri-related startups. So feel free to ask him any queries in those areas. We have already received a few queries in the past few days, some through email and other platforms. So we shall address those, and then we'll come back to the comment section. Feel free to post your queries in the comments, and Shivkumar shall address those. So to Mr. Shivkumar. So, Mr. Shivkumar, we received a few queries from the startups or email in the last few days. So, we'll address those queries first, and then we shall go to the queries that come in the comment section.
How many are there?
So, people are slowly joining now.
Hi, good morning, everyone who's joined.
Firstly, maybe it would be good if you can introduce your profile briefly and what your achievements and accomplishments, so that people connect with you and understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sure. Let me start with my my introduction. I'm CEO of a company called Maple Software. Maple Software is a 20-year-old company. We started in the year 98. And we primarily, my background, I did my master's in computer science, moved back to India in 95, started with my family business. I started Maple in 98. So the journey is about 20 years old now. And when Maple started in 98, we started focusing on the most, the way we chosen the field is by way of what is the most potential and which has future. So we looked at food sector, we looked at healthcare, we looked at other sectors as well. But we figured there's something which will last long, in terms of the longevity of the sector. So we figured healthcare is something which has got a lot of potential. And we decided to stick to healthcare. So true to our judgment, we ended up focusing on healthcare with healthcare products, mostly B2B, B2C initially, and then subsequently went on building services. As you can see, we also do healthcare related services such as medical coding, billing, etc., and revenue cycle management, and also healthcare record management, EHR, EMR, etc. And so in between 98 to 2000, we had a hard time. Just to give my entrepreneurial journey, that's one of the things we asked Nadi. Initially, we had some hiccups, like most startups do have. For 2 years, we didn't have business, though we started building great products in terms of reverse auction engineered auction platforms. Unfortunately, we couldn't really move it forward, because 2000 is when there was a big recession worldwide. So some of the, I would say, investors that we thought have come on board with us, especially one from Singapore and one from New Zealand, they wanted to use our reverse auction platform, take it to the next level by trying to use other products which can be reverse auction on our platform. So they come forward to invest, but due to recession, they backed out. So I traveled to Singapore and New Zealand, trying to explore other products which can be brought onto our platform. So 2000 to 2002, once again, we had to dig deep into our pockets to support our team of 50 people at the time. It's quite a big challenge. So, I would say the challenge was sustaining the business to ensure that we survive. 2002 is when my first dollar rolled in to our account because of services. We worked with one healthcare company by the name Seaway Systems. At that time, it was called with a different name, but subsequently changed to Seaway Systems, and they provided services to us. And 2002 is when my first billing started. And so we are talking about close to 3 to 4 years of journey. And of course, not everyone will have to go through this. I don't want to disappoint people who are starting. Mine could be a little bit unique in a way, because we also had a recession which lasted for a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Especially the Y2K thing, So where instead of focusing on services, where Y2K was very popular, with services with IBM mainframe as well, we went into products.
Okay.
Maybe our move was a little bit wrong, or maybe skewed at that time for those days. Maybe we should have traveled with what is the trend. The trend was placing people for Y2K, but I never wanted to get into placement. So that is the reason, I'm saying, you should also travel with the trend than trying to choose something which is different, and then like you get stuck.
Okay. So
Like I just want to quote one example also this time, like, which is very live, and I would say which is quite popular. Kingfisher started their airline like long back called UBA. At that time, like private airlines were not popular, though like subsequently private airlines became very popular. So Kingfisher was the first mover. They had like the first few months of like run, but they had to eventually shut down before they started Kingfisher Airlines. So what I'm saying is, you also have to live and be with the trend. That's what is my.
So currently, what part of your business is product and what part is services? Like, can you have a difference, or is it completely product?
No, we are primarily into services. There's no doubt. And the last few years, our attempts have been to also be a product company. Yeah, which is not very easy. Services is something surely keeps your head above waters. You're surviving as a company, and product is something which will have long cycles in terms of like going to the market. Because in product, what happens is you only not only identify the product which can be actually sold to the market. The first thing that you need is someone who can actually take your product, implement it. That's the first thing, because that is the when like, you're not only implementing, you're also getting revenue to plow that money back into the product to build a better product. Yeah. So if you want to just start a product, be prepared to plow money into that. If you don't have a ready customer, be prepared to put your money into the product and wait for longer time. Unless you have a mentor, unless you have someone who's supporting you, in terms of the product, to build your product, that is my experience. Okay. So primarily, as the question like that you asked, are we a services company, a product company? Primarily services. Eventually, want to be a product company.
Okay. So this brings to me a query, because I think it can relate to most of the startups. Like in IT services, you have all sizes of companies, being from Infosys, TCS, and you have even smaller companies too. So how do you differentiate yourself with your clients? How do you get your clients? In terms of sales and marketing, what do you do differently so that you project your value?
Yeah, that's a very good question, I would say. See, like how you said, big companies like TCS, Infosys, and Wipro, like even the clients are of various sizes. Let's not forget that. So the clients, there are big clients, who probably want, they don't mind spending because they have deep pockets. There are also smaller clients who want to build their products and services with smaller companies. So that's the first differentiation, I would say. And how we differentiate as a company, not that every time we only get clients who are left over by the biggies. Yeah, there are times when we also compete with the with the big services companies like TCS. Yeah. The reason is not because we are competing with them. The reason is because it's the market, and with their targets, they're also coming into our domain, I would say. Yeah. It's kind of I won't say predatory, but rather there are times when they also kind of overstep into our domain. So we have to compete with them. There's no doubt about it. So where we score is one, of course, the delivery, and certainly we cannot compete with them in terms of the size. But certainly we can certainly focus on the kind of services we provide, delivery, and then most importantly, the pricing. Yeah. Yeah, big companies have their own challenges. Their infrastructure or their fixed expenses are more. Unless they want to cut down on all that, and they say, okay, we want to compete with these guys at no cost, no profit. So that's where you have to size yourself. You have to cut all the flair and be ready for to take over. So we do have those competition, and we have succeeded against those companies.
So this brings to me another question. So what are the strategies that you use to identify those right clients? Because as you said, the clients too are of various sizes and they come from various places. So it is about being in the right place, right time. So how do you ensure that you are there?
Well, several things. Most of the time, the first client is the most difficult thing, I would say. We struggled when during my struggle, the first client was the most important one. Even after you get the client, you also have to prove your delivery capabilities. So that is the first thing, where you have to put in all your best efforts. And thereafter, my experience so far has been it is through references. One client who actually gives a good reference will always generate the next client to you. So I would say more than 50% of my business has been through references. Not that I don't do anything else, in terms of selling my company. We also do digital marketing and and also cold calling. That is a continuous affair. I have a team which does this kind of things continuously, digital marketing and then reaching out to various clients in that domain. So what I typically do is wherever I have my clients, I typically go closer to where they are. That way, my references become easier. So let's assume there is a client located in Ottawa. Yeah. So then that client can give a reference easily, and they believe it because especially the smaller companies want to believe someone in the neighborhood, someone who says that yes, this guy is trustworthy. So we have built that through that, and we have succeeded to a large extent. And digital marketing actually gives you the market presence and visibility. Not that it always gives you clients. You cannot measure digital marketing efforts to give tangible results immediately.
Yeah.
But certainly, that pays it's the attention of a few clients, and with one reference, and then he'll be able to connect to you, saying that hey, I have seen them, and now this guy is giving a reference, so they will connect that way, and that initiates the first step towards the engagement.
So before going to the list of queries that we received, there's one query in the Facebook comments that is related. So I thought I'll address it first. There is Mr. Fonda Reddy asking, with software as services, what would be the future of AP? So what is the future of IT services and software services
in AP? Well, software services is not going to die down for sure. We have surveyed for 25, 30 years, all the companies. And there are more opportunities coming. Technologies are evolving, changing, requirements are changing, and more things. There are disruptive technologies that are coming. So at any cost, services are not going to change because if someone who's come out with a new idea will always want to go test it out, and he wants to develop it. So services is going to remain. For sure, that's going to go up. But what I would say is mundane services where there is a possibility of automation are going to go down. Like for example, if you take long back, there was something called data entry. Now data entry is almost gone. You have to, they have these algorithms which pick up data from the already existing database or the kind of the heap of data that we have, and is able to process it with machine learning, artificial intelligence. So that is gone. Data entry is primarily gone. The second thing, anything where it involves voice recognition. That's a new technology. For the last 10 years, they talked about voice recognition. It has evolved, and businesses like medical transcription. Okay, at 20 years back, it was considered to be one of the emerging business opportunities. I would say today, 80% of the voice is recognized. Still, that 20-30% is still not recognized, and that is where the opportunity is. So, likewise, what I'm trying to tell you, services are going to be there, but don't expect that mundane, routine, day-to-day things which are there, which have been there traditionally, are going to survive. You need to actually evolve yourself to automate it. If you are a data entry company, don't think your life is going to your company is going to survive just based on data entry. No more. You also have to build a product which can actually automate that process. So disrupting your disruptive technologies in your own field is something that you also have to come out with.
So what's the future going to be like as an industry? With the companies working out of Andhra Pradesh. So how do you look at it?
Well, companies based out of Andhra Pradesh, and that too, I would say after the bifurcation, it's a very difficult question. The reason is combined Andhra Pradesh, when we had AP and Telangana together, and we proved that that's the opportunities are great. Unfortunately, all the companies were located in Hyderabad for various reasons, because of the location advantage, the weather, you would say, which is much better than rest of the Andhra today. Honestly, being in Vizag, you're 9 months of a year, it's hard, and I mean, let me be honest here. I have an office in Hyderabad as well, and between here and there are a couple of things that I noticed which are different, and which are, one is the power bill, which may sound a little funny, but There's a difference, like a huge difference, almost close to about 60-70%
Okay.
of power bill, because there, 8-9 months of the year, you don't really need the air conditioning so much. Whereas here, this is the other way.
Okay.
No matter what you do. Not that IT companies don't use air conditioning, but I'm talking about the second is availability of manpower. Everyone is moved there, but most of them have actually gone from here. So the strategy that we have adopted, the advantage that we have taken by having both the places is here. See, most of the people have gone from here to there. Whatever projects where we cannot do here, we hire people in Hyderabad, slowly move them here to AP after they reach a comfort level.
Yeah.
On day one, if you want to ask them to move, especially the mid-level and the upper-level management or even technology, they don't want to. Apparently, I think the reason is they also want to see where the next opportunity lies, where they can shift immediately. So the opportunity that way is less here in Nagpur. But one thing I can tell you, Vizag is emerging, and compared to what it was 3-4 years back before the bifurcation, and now there's a sea change. So numbers have gone up in terms of the number of people who have moved in, and the companies which have moved in here, and the talent that is moving in. There is definitely the speed at which it is moving is slow, not what it is expected for various reasons. Because IT, how many IT companies can set up offices in Vizag just because you bifurcated the state?
Yeah.
Google doesn't differentiate, Microsoft differentiate on state of Andhra Pradesh or state of Telangana.
Yeah.
Because so we need to understand those small things. Not that we don't have an opportunity here. But I would say in the last 4-5 years, AP and especially Vizag IT has grown by almost twice with more opportunity. Only thing is now there's a recession, so we need to watch out a little bit for the next 1 to 2 years. They're expecting that this recession is going to last a bit longer than earlier for various reasons, geopolitical issues. So, but subsequently, it is likely to grow.
Okay. I think in your answer, you answered one of the query asked in the comments where they say, Prapun asked, what are your suggestions to retain bright talent in tier 2 or 3 cities or even rural places? So one suggestion that you said you will hire there and maybe you'll ask them to move.
That's right,
so
yeah.
Do you want to add more suggestions or if you have any?
Absolutely. Before I add a suggestion, let me tell you, let's not call ourselves tier 2 or tier 3. Let's name it as emerging cities, emerging centers. That's how we should say. The so-called tier 1 were at one time emerging. So let's not brand ourselves as tier 2, tier 3 because it will always remain tier 3. Yeah, we can as emerging city. One of the things as Anandeep said, which I mentioned in my previous note, is that we are hiring the talent from there and they are moving here. In fact, a few business analysts that I hired recently for one of my clients, they moved from Chennai and Hyderabad.
Oh.
Yeah. So initially I had them in Hyderabad. They were comfortable with the work, and once they were comfortable, they moved to Vizag. Now the what is that we have in offering for Vizag? One place is a great place. The kind of social life that we have here, the kind of the city, the clean city, and also the beaches, and the proximity to the office. These are the unique selling points as compared to Chennai and Hyderabad and Bangalore for that matter. Yeah. So we primarily target people who hail from here, Vizag. That way we don't have to sell Vizag in the first place. Second, and if they are comfortable with the work, that's the reason we allow them to work there in my Hyderabad office. And once they achieve the comfort level, we ask them to move, and then we don't have to do any selling because they already know the city and they feel comfortable. So that is our selling point here. I hope that answers the question.
So one other query is, can you share from your experiences what are the best practices to develop an entrepreneurial mindset in college students? Because these days, when new companies are coming up, even the employees need to have that entrepreneurial mindset too. Because they need to also understand what are the ups and downs in a small company or a startup. Because they shouldn't be comparing it with all the Googles and Facebook.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So how do you inculcate that entrepreneurial mindset to students or the youngsters just coming out of college?
Right. Good thing. In fact, let me tell you, entrepreneurship is something that doesn't come because somebody is telling you to. It has to come from within. You know, people should say, yes, I want to be on my own. I don't want to work for somebody. And I have my own ideas. I want to implement it. I think that is how the whole thing starts. Yeah, no matter how much teaching you do, how much preaching you do, what I think is that entrepreneurship is something that should be there in your mind and in your thought. Only then you can start working towards it. Not that entrepreneurship cannot be developed in colleges. So by giving success stories of various companies, you can also ask some of these students who have good ideas to become entrepreneurs. You can encourage them to become entrepreneurs. So the answer to your question is this has to certainly come from college, and how you can develop. Fortunately, compared to 20, 30 years back and now, what has changed is the opportunities have become more, and whatever you want to develop, okay, there is the funding available, and go to market. There are people ready to help. At this time, I want to just also talk about my experience in CII, that's Confederation of Indian Industry, where I'm in the National Council as one of the elected members. My stint with CII is close to about 20 plus years now. I served as chairman for AP, and we have something called CII Entrepreneurship Forum. It's a council headed by Chris Gopalakrishnan, who was the ex-Infosys chairman. And currently, and also he was the chairman for our CII National. Now, he took up this cause, and he's the one who's promoting, and this is the second year they have run a successful program called CII Startuppreneurs Awards. Now, let me also tell you a little bit more, because some of the people who are probably attending this event today should also know, and they can probably get connected. Chris Gopalakrishnan initiated this last week, and he pulled in 11 large enterprises, who are actually, he asked them to come out with the issues from their organization. Okay, what are the issues they have? He said, why don't you support that particular startup enterprise in that particular segment? So the companies that have come forward are L&T, Infosys, then we have Tata, then there's another company by the name Scient, which was earlier called Infotech Enterprises. Now it is called Scient. Bharti, that is Airtel. Then we have Godrej Consumer Goods, JCB, which is into heavy equipment. And then I already mentioned about L&T, and then there's a couple of companies like Jubilant Life Sciences, which is life sciences and bio, and Pratiksha. So these are some of the industries which have come forward, and they formed their own teams. Now the idea here is each one will adopt one company within their respective area. And the last year there were 11 awards given in all these sectors. Out of that, about 3 in manufacturing, and one of them in manufacturing was in agro products. Okay, so I can give you more details. I can share you the link, which you can share with the audience here. So what I suggest is you should sign up with the CII Entrepreneurship or Startupreneurship Forum. Those awards are constituted with 11 companies now. The first 1 year itself, we are talking about 11 companies which have come forward. This year likely to be double the number. Eventually, the goal is to have 5,000 companies, mentoring 5,000 startup companies.
Okay.
And what is this magic number 5,000? Because CII has over 5,000 entrepreneurs who are part of our membership.
Okay.
And no, it's not actually 5,000; it's 8,500. Okay. I'm talking about all large, medium, and small.
Okay.
Out of the 8,500, we have taken up Mr. Chris has a plan on having 5,000 people coming forward to take up this cause. Okay. And most of them actually have given their expression of interest. This year is going to be more than double in terms of number. Eventually, if we can have 5,000 of these companies mentoring 5,000 companies, our guess is that it's going to be one of the biggest startup ecosystem in the world.
Yes.
Successful, I would say. The reason is when we are these 5,000 companies are taking them up. It's not that they're just starting and leaving them. They're going to be hand-holding. They're going to use the product like what I mentioned. You need to have a use case. So that means the problems that is going to be given to them, product will be developed and then taken it back, implemented, scale it up, and go to market. Now imagine we are talking about 5,000 startup companies which are going to be emerging in the next few years. It's nowhere else in the world probably we had this kind of a success in a short while if this happens. And the goal is to achieve that.
Yeah, so I have a related query, are there any programs being planned to facilitate strategic partnerships for startups with corporates through CAA? So I guess
absolutely, this answers your question, and this is the thing. I urge all of you to go to the Startuppreneur Awards, which is likely to be there. I'm not sure in this year when that is, but I'll share it with Anadi. So attend that in the first phase. Then most of the startups have actually scaled up.
Mm-hmm.
I've been attending these events, so I highly recommend and encourage you to be a part of that.
Okay. So one other query is what can be done for the growth of startup ecosystem in Vizag?
Very good. Yeah, startup ecosystem in Vizag hasn't been a very good success, I would say, so far. There are though there are state government initiatives in terms of startup village, etc. There's been only a very small success, but I would say it is a very good beginning to start with. The other day I ended up going to this startup village. I found about 12 startup companies which have started their operation, and what I have noticed, very typical, very good ideas. The ideas are very good, but the go-to-market strategy, and you need to have a mentor, you need to have a proven, someone who's going to take it up, take up your idea and implement it. That seems to be missing. People seem to be getting the idea, they're going there, starting, and looking for the clients. I think somewhere we need to change that thing and look for the idea. It's not that most of the time the ideas come from global entrepreneurs. You should look for idea which is a problem which is local to you. Identify that. Go implement it because that's easy for you to go implement it. It's cost effective. Or identify a company where you can implement it and then scale up. So somewhere the link is missing, and we need to educate people in trying to identify the local problem, implementation locally, whereas it can be addressed globally. Why it should be addressed globally? Because then scaling up can be easy. This idea that you have implemented here can be scaled up globally because it's a universal problem.
So it actually resonates with the idea that we are yet to announce, but TiE Amaravati is planning to have a virtual incubation model.
Okay.
So we will be selecting a few startups and we'll nurture them.
Yeah.
So we'll leverage the mentorship of our charter members and try to mentor them so that we can bring up the startups.
Certainly, I think that is going to be a great idea. And I would also like to add a couple of points, Anadi, if the time permits.
Yes.
It does, yeah. See, my journey, one question you had about are we a services company or a product company? So not that I have not been successful in products. So I just want to share some experience here. So as a company, right from day one, I've been focusing more on products while doing the services which are going to be bread and butter, but surely productism. So we have been, we have close to about 10 products that we have initiated. And out of that, I would say two products have become successful. So the success rate is only 20% in our case. One of the products, while doing our services for one defense lab or Navy, we identified a small gap there in their accounts department. So we built the product ourselves, and we went and showcased this to the department. They really liked it. It's an idea. We just pulled in our resources, built a small product on our own. So what I'm trying to tell you, identify the problem, which is local, go implement it. So that's we've been successful in that. So we implemented that on a kiosk-based model. Okay, slowly it scaled up, and Pan Navy we supplied. Yeah. So certainly, that one of the success models that we have identified. Once again, what I want to tell you here is we have identified the product. We can showcase, implement it, and then scaled up to make the product successful. The second one, which is once again in tracking, we have one product called Track Easy. EZ, it's called Easy. Once again, it is with Visakha Dairy. During the course of our interaction, we identified that they have field staff of about 600 people, and they are most of them they are on the field and they have no control on whether they are really going to the work or with their attendance and their TiE, DA bills, their travel bills, etc. There's no control. Whatever they submit is the one that they're taking for granted. So our Track Easy today tracks 600 of their employees live. We have a command and control station, and every morning, each one of those 600 people can be given instructions on which centers they have to visit. And after every center visit or at the end of the day, they have to send a report. And whether they go on to the center or not is something that is through geofencing we have identified. And from that location, they have to send a report. So now 100% attendance and attending to their duties is something that is already known to their to my client.
No.
The second great thing is the travel bills. Whether they travel or not, they may be raising bills. I'm not saying everyone does that, but there are quite a few leakages that happen. Now today, they don't have to really submit the travel bills. All they have to do is at the end of the day, opening day and closing, where all they are asked to visit. After they complete, our app actually calculates how much distance they have traveled, multiplied by per kilometer rate, which is already predefined, is something that gets credited into their account at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Isn't that easy?
Yes.
And then now what happened? Originally, we started with them. We were fortunate, and this is where I want to say we need not always look for global clients. The problem lied right next door to us in Visakha Dairy, which is just 2 kilometers away from us. And they provided the opportunity. We are thankful to them, honestly, for giving us an opportunity, which was a win-win situation. They gained a lot out of it. As a company, we were able to develop a product. Now we are scaling this product up to other dairy companies and also other companies in seafood business. And we are experimenting on their trucks. Now, for example, Visakha Dairy, today they have 200 trucks. In fact, we are putting this system into their trucks also. Now they'll be able to monitor everything. They'll be able to see how many trucks are are flying, where are they laying at what time, and any idling at any point of time. After 10 minutes, it sends an alert. Okay, and how many kilometers they have traveled, everything is monitored. So the same product we are taking it up to other industries like seafood. And while going to the other industries, we also have identified there are other issues with them. So slowly we are trying to prioritize them. So this is one experience I want to share, and what I want to tell my colleagues and my friends here in TiE is that don't look for an opportunity which is global always. The opportunity lies right there. Go identify the problem locally, try to implement right there, and identify a client who can implement for you. Even if it is at no cost, no profit, no loss, and even if it is a loss, I would say.
No.
The reason is otherwise you cannot build a solid product. That's my experience about it.
So, in your experience, you actually pivoted from being a product-based to being into services. And in fact, as the saying goes, no startup is same as the initial idea they start with.
Correct.
So, what are the steps you took before pivoting? When did you decide that you need to move to be a services company from being a product?
Right. So, as I mentioned before, any product will take longer time, deep pockets, and success is not guaranteed all the time. So during the course of the product development, we realized that we certainly need to have our heads up about us. So what is the other way? That's services. Yeah. So as you rightly said, though we intended to be a product company, we moved into services because services will keep you going. Well, products is something, when it becomes success, it's a success. If it is not, then it's still pumping in money. So that's the reason we pivoted to services.
So the next query is as an angel, which all sectors do you want to invest in, and what are the parameters you evaluate a startup before you invest? At what stage they should be in, and the revenues or any other parameters that you look at?
Well, I rather invest into a field which I know better. That way, I can mentor or go to market would be easy. So that is always my preference. Not that I'm averse to any good ideas in any other area. So let me just quote that healthcare is something where I have knowledge and I have market access. Number two, agriculture. So in both these sectors, I would love to mentor or invest. Provided the idea is good and you already have a client, and the way we can mentor or my investment would be surely in terms of providing them the technical support, incubate that here by giving them the technical support, place, go to market, digital marketing, whatever. Right? Because a lot of times what is happening is some companies come asking me for fund only. But I don't know what is their strategy, how they're going to go to market. Without that, I won't feel comfortable doing it. Yeah. So as much as this is a concern to me, it should also be a concern to them because their product also has to be successful. Eventually, that should be the goal. So having said that, these two are the segments, but open to other ideas and provided we are providing the technical support if we are convinced.
So at what stage do you usually invest? I mean, do you look at their initial MVP or initial traction in terms of customers? So are there any parameters?
The first customer is what I would look at to see whether they have really are using it and whether that model is something that is solving their problem. And how many such companies are there where they can, where the same thing can be taken to solve the other problem. Then it is only a go-to-market that we are looking at. So surely someone who has come up to one level and there is one customer who is willing to experiment with their product is the area we'll be looking at.
Okay. So, and what about the scalability factor? So, should it be something that caters to only a particular region or country or global? Healthcare and all, it changes with the region.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. So obviously, more the merrier in terms of the size. If you have a global access to the same product, nothing like it. But as you rightly said, not every country has the same specific problem, or every domain has the same problem. So we'll only see how much it can be scaled up in terms of the size. That's the first thing. Second thing is nowadays, the investors are coming at various stages. Gone are the days they are there from the beginning till the end. So there is first round, second round, and third round of investments that are coming in. So surely, if you want to really go global, I may not have the capability, but certainly at the first and second level is where I think I'm comfortable and I can come.
So there is one query. It says, what kind of funding do you suggest for a startup to go to? Is it should it be equity or seed fund or interest free or with interest? So how do you ask them to go? Like if someone comes to you, do you look at their previous financial history in terms of where they raised funds?
So certainly equity. Yeah. So when you're investing, you also want to have a product. The reason we are accepting is because we see a growth in the product. Yeah. So equity is always preferred.
So there is one query which asks, do you fund eco-friendly vehicles which have a success and looking for scalability?
Yes, that's a very interesting area. In fact, other than healthcare, we are also looking at EV as one of our thing. But since I don't have knowledge, I'm not really looking at that. In fact, there is one company I'm looking at already in Hyderabad, which has developed the EV thing. But one challenge that I've noticed with EV, any vehicle that you develop in electric vehicles is the challenge is how to charge them. You need to, you don't have multiple locations where you can charge.
The charging ecosystem.
The infrastructure, so-called infrastructure, be it maintenance or charging. Okay, so developing a product could be one, but building the infrastructure where that involves a lot of government's involvement, policies. These are some of the things that need to be looked at. So we will evaluate that carefully. Not that we are not actually currently we are evaluating one company based in Hyderabad for the same purpose. So infrastructure is a concern.
So how do you think these startups which are in electric vehicle, I mean, since the example has come, should go about? Because it's actually interlinked with the ecosystem that has to grow.
Absolutely.
So it's similar to how Vizag is currently, where startups should they start here and wait for the ecosystem to grow? Because ultimately both it will be like a chicken and egg problem. So the startups have to grow, then automatically the ecosystem grows. So how should these smaller companies, of course, they don't have that wherewithal to actually sustain. So how should they go?
Like, I quoted one example earlier at the beginning of this conversation. I said you should not be far ahead of the curve all the time. Your idea may be great, but if it is too early and there is no infrastructure and policies in place, it's going to fail. But same thing after 10 years may be a great idea.
Yeah.
The example that I quoted was UBA.
Yes.
UBA started before the policies came in, the civil aviation privatization policy. I mean, it's a great concept, great idea, but it didn't sustain.
Yes.
But the same thing survived for longer time after the policies have come, infrastructure.
And after maybe Air Deccan was more
successful. Yeah, absolutely. So what I would say is, you also have to see, you should take a 360-degree view of things. The idea that you have, how long is it going to sustain in terms of? Let me just quote one example here. You may be building a bicycle or a car which is EV, and a car is expected to travel longer distances. Yeah. So let's assume that somebody is traveling from here to Rajahmundry, and it is going only your charging can only last you for 300 kilometers. Now, what happens in the reverse direction if there is no infrastructure available? Yeah. So let's take a bicycle, like a motorcycle with a EV, which can travel maybe about 200, 150 kilometers. So that is within the permissible limit where you can come back home and charge, or go to any charger, within either the office, which should be easily adaptable. Take a bicycle. Okay, you can just go for a small stroll, come back home, charge your battery at any time.
Yeah.
And other times when the battery is down, you can still cycle it.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to tell you in the whole process is, you should know what to build.
Yeah.
Okay? Depending on what the infrastructure and is available for you. A great idea today, you may be building a plane, but if the plane can only last 1 hour of journey, whereas you have to travel for 2 hours, what will happen for the rest of the 1 hour?
Yes.
So you also have to look at those angles. That's what is, and obviously infrastructure is something that you cannot do it. It's the government policies will have to evolve.
Yes.
And a lot of governments are already doing that. There have been successful models also in the larger segments. Let me take the example of buses, EV buses. Now, the other day, Ashok Leyland, the CFO was here. We asked the same question. We said, what's your EV policy? What is that you have done? They said, okay, we cannot do it for a passenger vehicle. The reason being infrastructure is not there. I take my car up to 300 kilometers, after it doesn't run. What do I do? Where do I plug in this one? For power. So that's the reason they started building buses, especially the airport buses to start with, where there's a limited run, where they can go back, plug in, and again restart. Slowly they're starting city buses, because the government is actually planning to have infrastructure. RTC is planning to have their own infrastructure.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, if you have long distance buses, that means the infrastructure doesn't support that.
Yes.
So I'm only taking this as an example. So when you're building an EV, think about these factors also. Otherwise, you'll not be successful.
So you mentioned that you've been active with CII and now you are also a charter member with TiE. So, how does memberships in such networks help anyone? The startups in general.
Specifically for startups. Okay. No. First, before that, let me just say how does it help me as an entrepreneur? Because I'm not a startup anymore. For me, to understand what technologies are coming, and what are the new startups that are coming, and more importantly, where is that we have to invest. Now, what happens is, since we are doing services day in and day out, we are kind of stuck to those services, and we are unable to grow beyond that. So now with this kind of thing, where we need to have inorganic growth, we also have to look at the startups, because not every idea comes from within office, because they're so engrossed in their day-to-day things, they can't think beyond this. So certainly, I'm interested in engaging with the startups to see how we can have a inorganic growth where we are investing and growing in a different direction. Having said that, the tie-ups, the CII or TiE. Okay. One, in my case, it is helping me build network, understand who are the potential investors and what is it they are looking at, so that I can build a product to see if I can work with them. And most importantly, when I get to meet these entrepreneurs who are who's who of the Indian industry, it actually gives you that kind of encouragement to be part of the system and how they are managing the situation and how they are managing the ecosystem, be it political or the marketing, etc. And more importantly, the connect. When you have a right product, if you are able to go meet them and tell them, look, this is the product, because you are also given an opportunity to present yourself in front of so many entrepreneurs, they pick you. A lot of times they pick you, say, look, looks like this is an idea, I can. One such example I'll quote you. In one of our CII entrepreneurship awards, constituted about 4 years back, not the Startup Award, yes. It's an entrepreneurship award. One company based out of Bangalore, which is into EV segment, they came with only a bicycle. I think one lady, I don't recall their name, but you can always, I can quote two examples actually. The first one, she presented this, and my understanding was the time I was not part of that event, but I was told that Sri Ratan Tata picked up that idea, and he funded that thing. Now that company scaled up into from bicycles to motorcycles, and they were able to provide EV motorcycles. So now, would it have been possible to reach Mr. Ratan Tata so easily? So this is the network I'm talking about. The second thing, there is one entrepreneur in Andhra who lives in Hyderabad, in the combined Andhra. His name is, I think, Jayant Polaran. I think he's a very well-known entrepreneur. He started a cottage industry in corrugated boxes, and he's also, I believe, physically disabled. But today, his idea was presented in one of our entrepreneurship awards, and he got funding there. Yeah. Now he scaled up that enterprise into multiple locations, employing physically challenged people. I believe 70 to 80% of his employees are from that segment. So he also supported that, and obviously, I'm sure while making these presentations and by meeting people, he also got this connect and the people who invested into his company. So what I'm trying to tell you is these connects are important not only for selling your idea, even to get your ideas on what to do.
So and also can you share something on the credibility factor in terms of lobbying, credibility as a TiE member? So what would be your reception with them compared to someone who is not a member? So will that?
Yes, certainly. Yeah. See, what happens is either CII or TiE, they vet a member before what you call screening is done, I would say. Yeah. So certainly I would give them an audience. There's no second thought about it. But the reason is I'm talking to a credible person. Yeah. So thereafter, obviously, we had to evaluate them based on what they present.
Okay. And in terms of we've discussed on the electric vehicle segment, so where they need policy changes, but that can be done only with a lot of lobbying that can happen.
Correct.
So, being a member in these organizations, will that be also help, in terms of going as a group and lobbying with the government?
Certainly. See, you can't individually reach out to the government. That's the reason we have these associations. And most associations look at particular sector-based policies that should be implemented. So, be it CII, TiE, FICCI, or NASCOM, we go as a group to tell them, look, we need these policies for this to grow, make a presentation. Individual cannot go and present it, so make policies. Not only that, what happens is when central government makes some policies, they also approach the industry bodies. They say, hey, in your industry segment, this is the questionnaire we have. Please give your feedback so that we can tweak the policy before the next budget.
Coming back to your current company, what are the technologies that you work with here at Maple Software, and which are the technologies that you think have potential in the near future?
Yeah, technologies. So it's open source. We also use Java technologies, and we also use a lot of third-party tools for integration. We have a lot of important, like Twilio. We do a lot of work in the unified messaging. Yeah. Unified messaging, there is a product called Twilio. So we actually do that integration into our products, because unified messaging, that's one of the robust products. Likewise, so that's in terms of the technologies, the emerging technologies. These are mostly for services, whatever I talked about. In emerging technology, what happens is we are focusing on machine learning, artificial intelligence. Because some of the services that I have been implementing for my clients, I already started seeing that we need to automate them with machine learning and artificial intelligence. And we started building jobs. Okay. So for that, the technologies, a technology stack, we have to use this Python and all these other machine learning languages. And we are implementing one product for defense also, mostly in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So overall, I would say the emerging technologies is artificial intelligence, machine learning, and in these two we are implementing using Python. And bots is the other technology that we are experimenting, because that replaces some of our services jobs that we are already.
So do you suggest any softwares or technologies for the startups so that they can improve their productivity, like where they can automate their routine jobs?
To come to. So what I suggest is, there are quite a few SaaS models available, be it in accounting or be it payroll, or you take the documentation management system. So I would highly recommend any startup to look at to reduce your the cost, running cost in terms of technology. So that will be my recommendation. And the more the better. Then what happens is you are cutting down on the human resources, which otherwise is very difficult to get nowadays. Yeah. For this, it will become expensive. More important is the licensing, buying systems. All this is also gone. So look at these SaaS models, where you can automate quite a few things.
Any plans of working with startups here? Those you invest. So with the other startups, so what kind of strategic partnerships can you enter into with the startups?
Well, as I mentioned before, my ideas, my eyes are open. Mind and eyes are open for new opportunities. The model itself is sustainable. Your question is on how do I look at these things? I'm willing to sit down, discuss, to see if I can actually build that product, mostly in technology. And I want to be part of that system where we are building that product also with one client on hand, so that I can prove it to this person and scale it up. Without any client, and if you just want to come with an idea with no client, I may be a little skeptical. The reason is I have to identify the client, but something like
so that's
I
why,
will not be comfortable.
Maybe it may not be as an investor, but any model there.
Infrastructure. 3, digital marketing. 4, if there is some funding required, we'll look at it carefully and see.
So when it comes to digital marketing, so there is one query on Facebook.
My experience has been that digital marketing doesn't always translate into revenue, but certainly it gives you visibility. Not every visible page, and somewhere down the lane, they recognize you.
So is there study or example that you can quote where digital marketing brought you a client?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, I have a couple of them. After we started the digital marketing, which was never our foray. We started in the last 3 years. Earlier, we never focused. We said we don't really need it. But when we formed our own team and we started digital marketing on our own, we realized in fact there was a couple of cold calls that have actually come. They a couple of clients who saw our profile and in healthcare, and they have called and they said hey, we are looking at a company which can do something similar to what you have already done. And they wanted us to share our experience, and Of course, obviously they don't want to send you advance money. You have to be prepared to do the work and start billing on milestones.
Yeah.
So we've been successful, but once again, I never anticipated, nor did I ever wish that digital marketing should be business. I only wanted to create visibility, and at the opportune time, go for these paid campaigns and go aggressive, to that set of group, where you are actually going to go. For example, there is a trade fair in healthcare. Okay, I know I'm going to attend that, so I try to go, see how I can do a paid campaign in that particular region or in that particular segment of people. That way, when I go to that trade fair, I'm easily recognizable. Then translating that into business is something that I have to do.
Yeah. So, of course, most of these social media platforms for digital marketing, they are designed for being B2C. But someone like you needs more B2B. So, how can you make effective campaigns so that you get B2B?
No. I certainly don't look at B2C because my business is not C.
Yes, exactly. So, how can you make effective campaigns to use Facebook or maybe LinkedIn is a bit more B2B, but something like Facebook, which has been more effective in terms of digital marketing.
That's
so, how do you leverage it and make it effective for reaching out to the B2B clients?
See, once again, I want to say B2C has never been my focus.
Yes.
Nor it will. So, where B2C makes a small difference is for employees, potential employees.
Yes.
Because today, human capital also is equally important. Yeah. So someone who is looking at you in B2C says, "Hey, there's a company called Microsoft. It's been there for 20 years. These are the activities they do. This is the reach they have. So to that extent, B2C helps me."
Yes, for employees, yes.
Employees. Coming to generating business, what happens is, let me share my experience. I've been focusing more on Google, where you do this big campaign, and Google also has where you can reach out to the end customers or companies, and trade fair related portals where you have a separate entry into that. LinkedIn Premium, where you're constantly targeting and saying, okay, this is the region where I want more visibility with these kind of either CEOs, CTOs, or chief operating officers in healthcare company in this particular region, maybe in Baltimore. I mean, you can always visit this week. So we try to run those campaigns based on our need.
So usual platforms that you use are LinkedIn and Google.
LinkedIn, Google for B2B.
Yeah.
These two have been really helpful.
So Facebook doesn't really help in B2B.
Facebook, yeah, B2B no, but for B2C, for visibility and for our activities, yes. See, what happens is our employees are also distributed globally. Now, even for them to know, we are using the social media.
Yes.
That's what it is.
So, one other query is, what is the biggest difference you see when you were as a student and the current educational scenario?
Well, nowadays the students, I would say, compared to earlier, because of the advent of internet penetration and other things, have been more knowledgeable. They have more access, not only to access to knowledge, access to companies, clients, mentors, everything. So in those days we didn't have that. Even to apply for a job, we had to identify the companies, go knock on each company's door, and to give our resumes. Today, fortunately, that's not the case. There are portals, there are multiple ways. When it comes to jobs, when it comes to entrepreneurship, okay, the ideas are something that whatever happens globally is something that's at your fingertips in a short time. Okay. Reaching out to those big funding and entrepreneurs or mentors is also become easy now. As earlier, compared to earlier, where they were not forthcoming. You could never reach them, and there were not many also, for that matter. So I would say that change in time also brought in change in the way you look at things. Most importantly, I would say internet is the one who's played a big role, where they can use this opportunity to scale up and reach their goals.
So coming to the HR space,
I think this is getting reconnected.
We are actually live on both Facebook and YouTube. So YouTube is running while Facebook.
This is Facebook. Yeah?
Yeah, this is Facebook. Okay.
So YouTube, we can go ahead then.
Yeah, we can continue. Maybe it gets posted. So how do you address the generational differences in the employees and ensure that the culture is suitable for all the employees and address the employee retention?
I mean, right here in my office.
Yeah.
And that's a very big question. In fact, the millennials are much more smarter. Their expectations are totally different.
Yes.
Yeah. So instead of asking them to change, we have to change.
Yes, exactly.
There's no second thought about it. And this is what I would recommend to any entrepreneur, that you have to change with the times and don't expect them to change. And this is what I would recommend to any entrepreneur, that you have to change with the times and don't expect them to change and be the test boss kind of a thing. So to that extent, you also have to educate, which is a big challenge, especially when within my organization, I do have people who are over 40. I would say someone middle-aged and maybe. So I have to ask them to change. The second thing is they only have to become technology mentors. Beyond that, we also have to change our management structures.
Yeah.
But where we started seeing these people who have been there with us for long, they are trying to meet our end clients and trying to be more in interactive level with the clients. And the people who are managing the teams are the youngsters.
Okay.
That's how we changed our strategy.
So wouldn't that create some ego differences, ego clashes?
It does. That's the reason. You're absolutely right. So the senior level people are going to be playing more of the role of mentors, or rather, people who are mentoring only.
Okay.
So ego differences will surely come up. There's no second thought about it. It's very difficult to manage that situation. So as I said earlier, instead of we asking them to change, we have to change. Yeah. If we don't change, we perish, and the company goes down. So what is the culture they want? We have to adopt that. So we are making policies and changes accordingly.
So we have actually come to a close. I think most of the queries, all the queries have been addressed.
Okay.
So maybe if you can just give your final message to the startups and any other message that you want them to know.
Sure.
So
okay. One in a nutshell, what I want to say is startups. Certainly, it's a challenge, but it's also easy because you also have access to so many other opportunities. Coming to how you can actually scale yourself up into the market space. I would highly recommend you to get connected with people either through TiE or CIA. Attend as many events as possible. Be it in the space of startup-preneurs, entrepreneurship, because that is where you understand what is required for you to make a presentation of your product. You also have to do tweak. The idea that you have is only your idea. Don't forget that market may not be requiring that. So how to understand that the market requires it? The first step is go identify one client who needs that and start implementing for them. Even if it is free of cost, go ahead do that, because the free of cost thing is the one which is giving you a lot of experience on what is the reality in the market space. So that that is the one that I would highly recommend you to go do. And the second thing I would recommend is while attending the events, make a pitch. Try to get an opportunity to make a pitch. Let it be a failure, it's fine. The first failure will give you enough knowledge for you to scale up and tweak your product so that you can make the next presentation. Don't forget, there are several people who are watching what you're doing. Don't think the audience are the ones who are watching. There are people who are watching elsewhere, because this gets publicity. Any kind of startup award or entrepreneur award gets seen by a lot of people. So out of blue, you may get a call from somewhere asking you to showcase your product. So keep making pitches and don't worry about how whether people are watching or not, because if you think your pitch is right and you have one customer and it is scalable, go for it.
Yeah, in fact, yesterday I was reading about being a salesman, and one good advice that I read is every no you listen to is actually bringing you closer to an S.
Yeah.
And, good advice that I read is every no you listen to is actually bringing you closer to NS.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, what I said now,
Yes.
like almost that's the gist of it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shivkumar. Thanks for joining us and mentoring the startups. So maybe now, if the startups reach out to us in terms of connecting with you, we'll try connecting them so that if they want to have a one-on-one or something, so we'll reach out to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.